And with that being started, let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing I have to do is bring in my film to Adobe Premiere Pro itself. And there's multiple ways to wind up bringing in the clips, but I'm just going to go ahead and highlight where my clips are located under the D, data directory, Grand Caymans, and JVC left, right, eye. So we're bringing in two clips that were filmed with the JVC Pro HD 3D camcorder that we talk about in the guide, and we also filmed in the Grand Cayman Islands using the Panasonic HTC Z10000, which is a 3 CMOS sensor on each lens and is fantastic. As part of the guide, we said the effective depth limit of the JVC camcorder for a wide-angle shot is approximately 35 feet, but the Panasonic HTC Z10000 extends the effective filming depth down to 100 feet. So all I do is I just have the clips, I highlight both of them, and I'll just drag them over to my asset box here. One of the reasons that we like Premiere Pro so much is that I can create a file folder structure exactly the way that that particular information is actually created down in Windows Explorer. And that's done by this little box, which is right here, shaped like a file folder. So I can say I'm going to create a new bin, and I'll call it film. I've now created my film bin. I can highlight these two particular clips I brought in and drag them into the film bin. And then, of course, you can put more subfolders underneath each one of those. So I'm going to go ahead and create another bin, which is called sequences, which is basically a timeline, to my sequence box. And I'm going to create a sequence for my film. File, new sequence. Brings up my box. I'm going to create it at 1080i 30, which is 60i, which is the way the camcorder actually, one of the options on the JVC Pro HD is to film in 60i. I'm going to call this underwater filming guide, and we're ready to go. So what you're going to notice now is down in this particular area, we now have the sequence underwater filming guide. It's under here, and of course you can come in and rename these all you want, and this is why we really like the flexibility of Premiere Pro. It thinks the way I do because I'm a Windows user, I'm not a Mac user. Now in order to do the film within Premiere Pro, you actually place the left eye in Video Stream 2, and we can see our videos here, Video 1, Video 2, Video 3. And you take the right eye and you put it onto Video Stream 1. Because I had the video, I'm just going to highlight all these clips, and I'm going to unlink the audio from the video because I don't care about the audio related to the underwater filming, and I'll highlight the two audio streams that are here under Audio 1 and 2 that are linked to the two pieces of film, and I'm just going to wind up clearing those. So now all I have in here is the film. And we'll start going along and processing, and what you're going to notice is this film doesn't look very good. It's washed out. There's no colors. The water color floating above is not very good. But the one thing I will say here is I want you to notice that we talked about in the guide about having water as part of your scene, and that adds an extra set of movement to what the viewer is going to see. It's a really cool effect. And this is where we say that we're below the coral and we're pointing the camcorder up at a 45-degree angle, and we're adhering to all the rules we discussed in the guide. If we have a slanted area to the coral, we want 1/3 to 1/2 water. We also want water completely atop of the screen with no coral touching it, because that has an effect upon some of the 3D effects. So you can see all the water that we have in here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this clip, and we're going to start with the first effect, which is amazing. Within Adobe Premiere Pro, I'm going to go to my video effects, which is down in the effects box area down here. I'm going to go to my adjust, and they have a function called auto levels. And this auto levels is the same tool which is in Adobe Photoshop. They brought over this great technology which took Adobe years to really perfect, and they brought this over to Premiere Pro, and this tool is magnificent. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at some of our video scope, our information about our color recording. And once again, we go down that these appear in alphabetical order. And I'm going to go in BCC color and tone. and I'm going to go find the video scope, and I just drag it over to my effects palette, or drag it over to the top clip. And what happens is these video scopes show up about our colorization. This is a Boris Continuum Complete effect that is part of Boris Continuum Complete. All these different types of effects that we're going to see are a standard part of the whole Boris Continuum Complete product line, and we use these tools extensively. What you're going to notice here, I can take these and expand it out, make them smaller, bigger. I can move my things over depending upon the way I want to work. And what you're going to notice is these little check marks are different scopes. Example is if I click off the waveform, that we're going to notice the one at the top left disappeared. I'm going to go ahead and click all these off. And the one, what I really want is the YCBCR waveform. I'm going to bring RGB waveform video scope, and I'm going to bring it up. And what you're going to notice is the red is a little low. The green is way high up here. You see how these more highlighted areas are farther up and the blues are down here. And one of the things you want to do as part of color correcting is to get these three waveforms to be even across, or relatively even with each other, before you start to do your color correction. On these effects, I can use this little arrow key to shrink them down or make them bigger. And then they have this FX little button here that if you turn it on, it turns that effect on, brings it back up, turns it on, brings it back up. I think that we're seeing some basics about how these effects actually work, and they work the same in all the packages, whether it's Sony Vegas Pro, Final Cut Pro, Avid Media Composer, or Premiere Pro, which is one of the reasons we're using these tools, because they have a very big and wide breadth of installed base. Now I have my video scope up, and we're going to go back to Adobe Auto Levels, and we're going to drag that effect in here. And bam, look what happens. All of a sudden, we've had significantly better colorization has come back. I turn off the video scope, and look what happens here. Look at this. On, off. Once again, the FX. On, off. And that is amazing. Right off the bat, that we have significantly enhanced the color correction related to our film. It was a little easy type of thing to do. It's doing wonderful. What I usually do is I darken these clips a little, and we're going to see the effects. Down in here, you have the ability, a slider, to increase the blackness or darken it, to increase the white clip. Let's see what happens when I ramp this thing up. Now I got my whites. Wow. It really did the whites, but it's washed it out. And I can come along here and just go edit undo. But I usually darken my blacks to about 1.9. So let's go and take a look at the difference. There's our original film. Here it is with auto levels moved to somewhere between 1.9 to 2.0%. And you can see the effects as you darken it more. All of a sudden the blues become richer, etc. But you have to watch out using this particular tool, because you'll start getting a lot of blackout in between the coral. And that's something that we don't want to do. You can use your cursor and slide back and forth like this to adjust it. Another way to do it is you can double click in here and then actually enter the value. A lot of times I may use 1.9 or 2.0, but for our purposes, we're going to use 2%. And look at that amazing, the colorization, this technology brought over from Photoshop. That is the first tool that we're showing you how to use. Once again, I encourage you that with this great technology that's part of the Adobe suite, that just doing this one effect alone, you have significantly improved the colorization on your film. I encourage all of you to try this on your footage. It's amazing. That's the end of our tutorial on the first tool, which is auto levels. And of course, there's all sorts of other particular tools in here. Auto contrast, levels, gives you a more detail, but you can go in and wind up experimenting with these additional things which Adobe has really provided you. And now we're going to move on to the next lesson that's really going to knock your socks off, and that is color balance.